what Jeremiah said. Well, I had to get down and show them what's up. He probably didn't say it like that, but the tone was very similar. Okay. I need to say this before I make any other videos because I've been dropping little hints here and there on my past videos about this topic that's been on my mind, that has been floating around on the internet for so long, but has resurfaced to be, what do I call it? A problem? A problem. Maybe. But today's the day that I'm going to say it. I am so tired of love triangles trope, especially the ones where two brothers are duking it out for one girl. Because at this point, it's not even romantic anymore. It's just exhausting. And yes, I know I mentioned this here and there in other videos, like I said before, but I realize I never actually explained why. You know? Why it bothers me so much. So today we're going to talk about when love triangles work, when they don't, and why lately they've been feeling completely unhinged, broken. No. Yes. Let's get into it. I don't hate love triangles. I just dislike bad love triangles. That makes sense, right? Because when they're done right, they can actually add depth to a character. They can raise the emotional stakes and make a relationship more complicated in an interesting way. But lately it feels a little off lately. It feels like the writers just throw them in for the drama and the characters start acting in a way they never act before. It doesn't make any sense for them to act like that. It don't feel human, and honestly just make everyone look terrible in the show. I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry. But it's the truth. Especially the cheating trope that's been going around lately. I know I'm getting off topic right here, but I just want to throw this in here because this cheating trope has been going around, but like that's another video for another time and another day that I'm definitely going to do, and I already have the script written for it, so yeah, be prepared for that. Moving on. When it works, take Rain with Francis, Mary, and Bash. That works because it's historical. There's history. That kind of dynamic made sense in that time period. Political duties, power, survival. Kings were taking on mistresses, concubines, all of that sort. So it makes sense for a love triangle to be thrown in there, to just be like bloop, bloop. Especially when it's a political marriage out of duty, out of I don't really like you, but like you can grow on me. As I get to know you more, you can grow on me, but there's this other guy that I like from the get-go. So this is a situation. You get what I'm saying? It plays into why those relationships are messy and complicated in the first place. Or even the Vampire Diaries. I know I've been talking about the Vampire Diaries a lot, but I gotta use them as an example. Yes, it's modern, but the vampires are literally from different eras, okay? They live longer, they carry old values, old wounds, old attachments. So the Stefan, Elena, and Damien, or the Stefan, Catherine, Damien situation at least has context behind it, okay? The triangle isn't just for vibes. It's built on who these people are and where they come from, right? Now, the problem here is compare that to something like the summer I turned pretty. The framing just feels off to me. Belly is with Jeremiah for 3 years. There's time involved. She literally spoke that in like the first episode of season 3. She literally said they've been together for 3 years. 3 years has passed, okay? And Conrad still wants to date her. Or maybe I should say Belly still wants Conrad after being in a 3-year relationship with Jeremiah. I'm sorry, but emotionally, that doesn't make sense to me. Okay? 3 years is not a oops, my bad amount of time. That's history. That's attachment. That's a shared life. But the story treats it like it's a pause button instead of a whole relationship. Literally throughout the whole season of season 3, yeah, it's about Belly and Jeremiah wedding, but in the end it's about Belly and Conrad. I'm sorry. I just gotta speak on this. For the fact is, it just doesn't make sense to me how they could do this. Because even in the books, and yeah, I listened to the audiobook. In the audiobook, she never once slept with Jeremiah. I feel like that's a big part of this too. She never once shared intimacy on that level with Jeremiah. But in the show, it's been 3 years. They've been doing it for how many times? What Jeremiah said? Well, I had to get down and show them what's up. He probably didn't say it like that, but the tone was very similar. Okay, the tone was very similar. But I just don't understand why would they change that, because now it just gives me the ick. I get the ick with that whole situation because of that. And then like when they finally put Conrad and Belly together, it's like at the end of the season. So it's even more, is like, you might as well stay with Jeremiah. You might as well stay with him. I'm sorry, but you might as well stay with Jeremiah. Or what's that Hispanic guy in the inn in Paris? Might as well got with him and met his grandmommy. Might as well did that, because like I just don't think it should work. I just think everything is not laid out correct. Or like, it just, in a sense, I should say, in a sense, to me as an audience, as a person who watched it and listened to the audiobook, I feel like you should have went with the audiobook where they never got intimate like that. Because now I just see them as like, no. No. Anyway. And then there's another one that did the sibling-coding mess. That is finding her edge. The way Adriana and Elise are written, I guess at least it's not 2 brothers this time, it's 2 sisters. The whole thing feels way too sibling-coded, which I feel like that they did that on purpose, because we follow those 3 sisters, Maria, Adriana, and Elise, right? But everybody, I should say everybody, those 2, Elise and Adriana, Maria, just Maria, you know, she's cool. But Adriana and Elise just feel so too connected with each other. Kissing the same guy, sleeping with the same guy. It feels too connected. When both of them either kiss or sleep with one point of the triangle, actually this is more of a hexagon. This is more there's more people involved. There's 4. So it's actually a rectangle. It's a square. This is a square moment. Okay? It stops feeling romantic and start feeling uncomfortable and messy in a way the story doesn't even want to deal with. I feel like we just gloss over it so many times in that show. Elise personality, Adriana still going and sleeping with Brayden after at least literally, if you watched it, you watched it. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but it just it's just like they want the shock value. It's like the shock value matters more than whether this actually makes sense for these characters or for their relationship or for their dynamic. Because if anything, Adriana should have not, or at least should have not been on good terms, or should have made up that quickly in most episodes. I will leave it like this is where my biggest problem is though. Will you keep pushing love triangles without doing the character work? One of two things happens. Either the characters start acting like a terrible person for no reason and people forget whoever side they were rooting for and they start ragdogging the female lead or the male lead and saying, you're the problem, you need to leave, you're the problem, okay? Or one of the love interests just becomes a professional yearner. Y'all know who I'm talking about when I said that. With no real emotional life outside of wanting to be chosen or just waiting to be chosen. I felt like Conrad literally, even though he had this whole doctor career in front of him, it literally felt like that did not matter unless he has belly. But I just feel like after 3 years, after going to therapy, they should have been at least a little bit growth. I feel like we should have at least seen Conrad with somebody in that season where he actually tried, because he did actually do that in the books. Yeah, so let's not forget about that. I'm not saying a messy love triangle can't lead to a good story. It can, but I want to see consequences, okay? I want to see the female lead to actually have to rebuild that trust. I feel like I could say that sentence a little bit better. I want the female lead to actually have to rebuild trust. I want her to understand what she did wrong. I feel like I'm using this hand a lot. I feel like I'm talking with this hand a lot. I feel like it's doing a lot. You're doing a lot, okay? Instead, a lot of stories just give her this main character energy in the worst way, where everyone else's feelings are optional, but hers are like sacred. And I really believe this. Everyone is the main character in their own story, so I feel like you don't really need to act like the main character. You get what I'm saying? You don't need to bulldoze everyone else's emotional abilities to prove that. And honestly, male leads have the same problem. A lot of the time, they're written to appeal to the audience, not to actually make sense as a partner for the female lead. And what that happens, the love triangle stops being about relationships and starts being about fan service. If we go back to the Summer I Turned Pretty, I really do think Jeremiah and Belly could have worked because they already had that time built. But they threw in Cabo. They threw in Cabo like that. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? For y'all to remember Conrad's still here. I feel like that whole story could have ended Belly, Jeremiah, Conrad with the redhead girl. I totally forgot her name. It could have ended with that, and it could have just went their own separate ways. We could have seen Conrad learning how to love a different way and being that person again, learning how to open himself up to a person once again instead of just yearning for Belly. I would have loved to see that more than that, okay? And then actually Jeremiah and Belly's relationship developing past that. Oh, you only like me because of your mom, or is that the truth, or do you actually really do love me? And their relationship actually maturing, and Jeremiah actually maturing too with that. I would love to see that. That would have 8, okay? But like I said, it becomes fan service at the end of the day, and that, in my opinion, is what kills the emotional core of a story. So how do you make it work? I think there are only 2 real ways to make a love triangle work. Take the time to build it properly. Let relationships breathe. Let emotional um characters be rebuilt again naturally, and not just quick, like where you do a time jump and I really don't see anything happening. But I would love for it to happen naturally. Let consequences matter, okay? Or two, don't do it at all. If the story can't support it, stop forcing it. Because if you're going to keep pushing the boundaries with this trope, it has to make sense emotionally, psychologically, and narratively. Yeah. With that being said, I don't hate love triangles. I feel like I have to reiterate that once again, okay? I just dislike when they are lazy. I dislike when they turn characters into plot devices. I dislike when they confuse drama with death. And if you gonna break hearts in your story, cool. Just make it mean something. Let me know in the comments down below what a love triangle you think actually works and one that actually doesn't. I would love to know because it's one of those things that are very popular these days. And I hope in 2026 we move on. We're moving on. We're moving on, y'all. We're moving on. Please, please. And with that being said, I'll see y'all around. Bye bye.